Trust is at an all-time low, attention spans are shot, and AI has made it nearly impossible to know who's real and who's a bot. So, how do you actually stand out and connect with your audience anymore? I just got back from this very intimate mastermind event with the Copy Posse, and wow, my brain is still buzzing. If you're new here, I'm Shaleni Henriquez. I'm a real estate agent with Real Broker, and I love helping realtors level up their tech and marketing. The great thing about live events is not only what you learn, but also who you meet. And today, I'm so lucky to be able to bring together four incredible women entrepreneurs that I met at the event to share our biggest takeaways. So, we are talking about what's actually working in marketing right now, why the messenger is more important than the message, and how to create content that doesn't burn you out. Before we jump in, I want to quickly introduce Haley from EchoRoot. She's a systems and workflow genius who helps entrepreneurs get 20 or more hours back every week so they can scale sustainably. Now, unfortunately, her intro got caught up at the beginning of the recording, but you're going to hear her incredible insights throughout, including a story that she just had happen to her recently about a LinkedIn post that she shared about how she's been using AI, and it went totally viral on LinkedIn. Now, whether you're in real estate like many in my community or any other industry, these marketing principles apply to all of us. So grab your notebook and let's dive into backstage breakthroughs.
People who have short-term rentals, vacation rentals, I help them build their own businesses with organic marketing. So in the biz, we call it direct bookings so that they don't have to rely so much on Airbnb, booking.com, Verbo, all of those lovely online travel agents that we love to hate. And so that's what I do from here in Vancouver. And yeah, it's just wonderful to be here.
So thank you so much for joining. Deirdre, you want to go ahead?
Sure. Hi, everyone. I'm Deirdre Martin. I'm from Ireland. I traveled from Ireland to Vancouver to attend this event. Not quite as local as Jen, but it was definitely a worthwhile trip. And Shalini and I got to do loads of sightseeing together, so it was actually epic. On top of that, I what I do for my day job when I'm here is I'm a business and executive leadership coach. And everything I do is back to neuroscience. So we look at brand strategy, marketing strategy, customer experience strategy, sales and system strategy, and then leadership as well. And it's all founded in neuroscience and neurostrategies because at the end of the day, if our mindset is not right and our customers' mindsets are not right, well, nobody's going to want to work with us and we're not going to enjoy the work. So, all of this is to help people scale to their first six figures or seven figures without burning out. That's
Yeah,
me.
I love that. I love that. Thank you so much. Daria?
Hi, thank you so much for having me. I also, just like Jen, didn't really travel really far because I'm also from Vancouver. Actually, sees a Blue Jay hat, so go Blue Jays. Hell yes, love this. I'm a personal branding coach and I work with service providers and founders to help them build a profitable social media when they don't have 10,000 followers so they can get more clients and sales. I also own a content creation agency local here in Vancouver where we work with exactly the same people, just taking over all of the content creation processes. It was so incredible to meet every single one of the speakers that we're going to be here, and we will share every single thing that changed our brain chemistry a couple of weeks ago, so it can change your brain chemistry as well.
Exactly. It was just so, there was so much goodness. So I wanted to just go over, like give everybody a chance to introduce themselves and then just maybe just talk about some of our biggest takeaways. I think most of the people on here are going to be in real estate. If you're in real estate, just like drop a one in the chat. And if you're in something totally different, then actually just let us know what industry you're in as well. So that but everything is marketing and it doesn't really, I mean, in the end, it doesn't really matter because the messaging is what was really important. So she started off with like a state of the internet address. And I thought that was really interesting. Like she was talking about how trust is way down and that's so true, right? With AI. Like what did you take away from that? Any one of you that were there can speak to it. Maybe Daria, like you are, I mean, you've such great content. I've been watching your now that we're connected. I'm like, it's so good. And I think you really do a good job of making people want to trust you and how you're communicating. So what did you take away from that?
Thank you. Appreciate it. That's so sweet. Alex and I had this conversation before, like a couple of weeks ago, because we met at the other event that we were both attending. But I think it's really incredible how, for example, I don't know, like about you guys, but like I feel like 2022, 2023, we were all so excited about AI and like, oh my God, let's chat GPT absolutely everything. But the more we started to rely on AI, the less human connection we started to feel. And I feel like whenever you are going online, exactly to Alex's point, where you're seeing somebody content and the content is either too good to be true, or they're sharing about like something absolutely incredible, you're like, this is bullshit. Or you probably edited it in some way. And so like the very first question you ask is you're looking for evidence not to trust something before you actually decide to trust something. And I feel like for us, coming from a point of like building your personal brand and marketing, especially in real estate, I work a lot with real estate clients, is how we can present you as a person that they can trust. And Alex always says that the messenger is now way more important than the message, because come on, anything we can type into ChatGPT and it can spill out such a beautiful information with so many M dash and 300 different emojis. But it's going to be very different if it's going to be a 17-year-old with no real estate experience talking about it, or it's going to be you talking about it with all of your real estate experience and the authorities that you have. So I feel like right now it's more important than ever to have the authority and credibility, and then position yourself online, not from the perspective of here's everything that I know, but coming from the point, here's what I have experienced and how I have helped and worked with my clients to solve this problem. Because instead of focusing on your knowledge, we're focusing on your authority, and that's way more powerful.
100%. What about you, Jen? Like in your business, like how are you like one of those takeaways about building that like trust with people online?
Yeah, I can completely agree with everything Daria said. And Alex, it was really interesting when she was talking about the messenger is more important than the message now. And in vacation rentals, short-term rentals, and I'd love to know if anyone here actually is in this space, because real estate, of course, a lot of investors get into short-term rentals, vacation rentals. What we really saw was the pandemic. The pandemic came and things were shut down, right? We all remember that horrible time where everything was shut down and bookings were canceled. And 2021 became like a gold rush in vacation rentals. All of a sudden, the floodgates open and we were allowed to travel again. We were allowed to go stay somewhere else. And people went crazy all over the world. I was in the UK at the time and living there, and it was all over the world. People were going crazy, and people were making so much money in 2021, 2022. And those who'd been around before the pandemic were like, well, you know, this is great, but this is not how it's always going to be. And now you see that a lot of people have become gurus, online gurus, because they've had all of this experience. I'm putting that in air quotes. They've had all this success in a very short amount of time, but it wasn't reality. And so I find that our space is quite convoluted right now, with you don't quite know who it is that you are following, and do they actually have the knowledge and the expertise, or is it just from this gold rush period? So I do find that those of us that have been around longer, they come in and we're being more human, you know, and that's one strategy that I'm using. And I hate to even call it a strategy, but it is something I'm trying to show more of in my marketing, is the human aspect of who I am and my story, and getting that across, because these gurus out there can go like to ChatGPT and they can figure out what to say to sound really smart, but they can't actually, they're not walking the talk. And I think that's exactly what needs to happen now, is we need to show ourselves. And and I'm not talking, it's not saying warts and all, I'm just saying showing ourselves to be more human and not hide behind our brand or our name.
100%. I thought the story that she told about people like her saying, I'm doing a live webinar, and people saying like, this isn't live, this is AI, was just so like, it's just so funny, right? Because like
Yeah.
that's just how untrusting people are about what they're seeing online. What about you, Deirdre? Like what about you for takeaways from
Yeah, like a lot of what the two ladies have said really resonates. And I think like my background actually is banking. I was in retail banking. So we were quite close to realtors in Ireland. I spent 20 years in the banking space. And what what I think is really prevalent here for sure is that mismatch between a professional online persona that we feel we have to have, and I'm actually using the air quotes because I definitely had that when I was a bank manager in my local city, right? So I had this online professional persona, and when I went into the bank, I would never swear in front of a customer, but then I would come home and I would swear like an Irish drunken sailor to make up for all of the, swearing I didn't get out in the day. And now I am a personal brand, and my personal brand, I swear a lot, and people come to me because I say fuck. I literally have a card hanging up here that says, I like you because you say fuck a lot. But that is my personal brand, and it took me a while to step into that. But where I see a mismatch is in that misidentity between what we perceive or how we perceive we should show up online versus how we are in person. And that impacts trust as well, because, if you're a realtor and you're selling luxury properties and all of the properties, they're high end. It's a bit like selling a Rolex and then showing up and swearing like me when I curse like a drunken sailor. That's a mismatch in a brand identity to an extent, but also it could be your uniqueness. And if you show up and share those unique qualities in terms of those luxury products, and then you have your unique tone of voice, that can become a differentiator. But it's making sure that it's aligned and consistent, whether you're online or offline and in person. Because if you're saying one thing online, and you guys are meeting people on the ground, most of you for sure, it needs to feel like a natural flow, or else that trust will not happen, because it will feel like you've a split personality. And they're like, who was I speaking to online? Was it a bot? Was it an AI? Was it your VA? Who was it, your assistant? So I think making sure that your online identity matches your offline identity is going to support both your personal brand and the trust element.
I love that. And I think it's just also giving ourselves permission to be ourselves, right? I feel like, sometimes when you're putting yourself out online, I know for me in the beginning of even starting to film videos, you almost feel like you need to be a certain way, and you try and you're like, oh, this is working for this person, so I'm going to try this, or I'm going to do this. But that is exhausting because it's not you, right? So like the best, what I got really from Alex too is just like, you like, and what you're saying is just like, you will attract your people, like that, vibe attracts your tribe. It really is a real thing. What about for you, Haley?
Yeah, so I said very like similar, because because like before going to the Backstage Mastermind, I will admit like I had been really focusing a lot of my attention on LinkedIn and almost like posting daily. And I had been using AI to help me write a lot of my content because it's a lot that I was trying to talk about, and it was just a lot, and just very much what you're saying about I need to show up in a certain way to like be perceived a certain way. But then I kept like kind of rereading the posts, and I was just like, ah, like these kind of suck. And I just spent hours like hunched over like with the full like gremlin like look, I'm sure. I'm just like fighting with Claude and thinking like, no, that's not how I would say it. That's not me. Like none of that. So then going to Backstage, it was really great because I did feel like I actually had permission to just, you know, be my like awkward kind of tangential self online. And so what I did is I actually made a post on LinkedIn that was like, here's what I've been using AI to help me write my content for the past 3 months. And here's what I've learned. And you know what happened, you guys? It went viral. Like what? Like all of my posts, all the impressions were like 2, 10, 5. I'll share it in the chat, this link to my post. But I have like 7,493 impressions, 67 comments on this post. I would only get one and it would be like, that's nice. People are having real conversations about what I've posted, and it was not a short post, it was long. So, anyways, I'll share it in the chat, and this is proof that you can actually, use your voice and be who you are and say what you actually want to say and share your thoughts and opinions online, and people will flock to you. So anyways, that's what I've learned. It's you have the permission to just be yourself, which is honestly a lot easier.
It is. It's not, it's just, no one can outdo you at being you. I think that's what they say, right? Like you, so you just won't get exhausted from it. Thank you so much for sharing that, because that is just like, it is like, it's proof. And that was one of the other things that she talked about, was like showing, not telling. And that's like, I think a big differentiator between what all of us were, like what Jen was saying too, like and Daria, like the people that are like, yeah, look at me, but like, actually, let me see that. Let me see or peel behind the curtain. Did anybody have like takeaways from that they wanted to talk about? Maybe Daria?
Sorry, I was trying to find Haley's post. Could
Oh.
you? Oh, sorry.
I shared it in the chat. I just shared it in the chat.
Could you please repeat the question again?
No,
I was like
real
so
good.
mind blown at like this Haley result, and I wanted like to go and celebrate her right away.
Yeah, it is really incredible. And
Actually crazy.
yeah, I'm gonna definitely check it out. LinkedIn isn't something that I'm on a lot. Like, I don't know for people, if people are in the chat or on LinkedIn or more. I think I'm more like an Instagram and YouTube person. But so many people at the conference were like, yeah, I know Deirdre were on LinkedIn. I'm almost like, should I go over there? Should I go over there? It just feels so, I mean, not that, real estate isn't professional and businessy, but it just feels so businessy. But I mean, it does make sense. Everyone there is like working and they likely own homes. We should probably be on LinkedIn a little bit more. Yeah. Daria, what was another like sort of aha, like big takeaway that you had from Backstage?
My biggest takeaway, honestly, when we did an exercise talking about your avatar, and you know how whenever you're typically think about your like key target audience that you made the most money with, and if somebody asks you to create like a customer journey, you would place your highest revenue generating avatar in kind of first place, and then you're going to think about, so this is the problem that they have right now, this is the goals that they have right now, this is their next step, and so this is their next goals and problems that they're trying to solve, and I can help them solve. For me, one of the biggest takeaway was Alex challenged us to think about what was the problem of your audience before they arrived to the point when they became your highest revenue generating client. So I will give you an example. My highest revenue generating target group is service providers who primarily rely on referrals, but they don't have an established social media presence in terms of maybe like their profile is optimized, but they are not posting consistently. So I'm helping them either from a coaching or the agency side to help them build a strategy and create a content that will make sense for them to help them optimize for more clients. So that's my highest revenue generating, like this is the primary people that I work with. But the challenge comes up with what was the problem before they arrived to the point. And so I created 2 more other audience groups, kind of like before they became my target audience. And those are the people who have a 9-to-5 jobs, but they have a side hustle as well. And their goal is to scale their side hustle to the point where they can make more money with their side hustle rather than they're making with their 9 to 5, so they can leave their 9 to 5 and then become my target audience that brings me the most money. So what are the solutions I can provide to this audience before they will become my ideal group coaching and one-on-one clients? I can create a smaller offering for them that solves their problem that they're experiencing right now, speaking in exactly the same language that's aligned to them, so they can scale up and get to the next point, and then the next, and then the next. And it's kind of thinking from a perspective, not how you can solve your audience problem once, but where they are in their transformational journeys and how you can support them with your knowledge and with your authority to help them to go from point 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5, so they can never leave you. And this is great.
The transformation was, I thought, was really neat, like thinking about exactly, because you would say, okay, my ideal client are like, if we're real estate, like move up buyers, and like I'm focusing just like wanting to say the message to the move up buyers, but really like tailoring message to maybe more like you want to capture some first time home buyers, or you want to capture even like, you know, people that are inkling or thinking about those things to try and filter up into whatever your ideal client is and then beyond. So it was, I thought that was a really good exercise as well. What about you, Jen? Yeah.
Also, I loved it what she was talking about that and what Daria was just talking about, because something that I've been doing with my clients is, instead of looking at different ideal guests, looking at that one ideal guest and how they travel. So they might travel on their own, they might travel with a partner for a romantic weekend, they might travel with their kids and their dog, they might travel with a group of friends or extended family, so that you always have that one person that you are talking to in your marketing. So I loved hearing what Alex was saying, because it was sort of reinforcing what I'm doing with my clients. It also made me take a really hard look at my own my own work and realize this is really hard for myself. I'm teaching this and I'm helping others do it, but I need to do it for myself, as well as figuring out that step before and that step after. And that makes me think for realtors is that, you know, it's not just people looking to buy their first home or looking to get a bigger home. It's the different changes of life.
That's birthday.
Isn't
That's
it?
amazing.
Oh,
Aw, I love that. That's awesome.
hold on. Let me see this.
It's like they're different stages of life, you know, going through a divorce and having to sell or find a new home, or getting married, or perhaps their parents are getting up there in age and they're, you know, looking to move them into their house or buy a house with them. So I think that there's a real opportunity for those in real estate to look at their ideal client and how they're buying houses, you know, because I don't think it's linear anymore, is it? You know, I don't think people just go from, you know, they buy their starter home and then they move up and then they downsize, you know, and then they go into an old
especially with
folks
this
home.
economy, right? They might be doing a little bit of different things.
Yeah,
right?
no,
Like,
if you bring some home,
oh,
they will
I'm
get
sorry,
eaten.
I'm muted,
But if you don't have
I'm
enough, then
muted,
that's
but
totally cool.
mute her again. I don't know why it unmuted. Okay, there. Sorry. Yeah, definitely. There's like a different, it's different than it used to be, for sure. Just with like how things have, you know, like, well, pandemic threw some loops into things, right? So, Deirdre, do you want to add something to that?
Yeah, I think, like, again, when I go back to my time in the bank, we would have tried to acquire clients when they were kids and then had them when they were teenagers and students, and then tried to retain them when they went to university, and then when they were borrowing money for their first car, borrowing money for their home, and all of that sort of stuff. So it really is, it's a customer life cycle essentially. And to Jen's point, that's not linear like that in every situation anymore. But it is thinking through, you know, in terms of cross-selling opportunities. If you are going to sell a home for a client, what might that look like, and what other services could you provide? To some of the points earlier, it's like thinking 2 stages beforehand. Like Daria said, you know, maybe they need to get the home cleaned, maybe a home stager. then a professional photographer? And are those all services that you're currently providing? And if not, could you provide them? And then beyond that, maybe they need some help relocating or moving into a new neighborhood. And what does that look like? And how could you support them through that transition? Maybe it's finding schools for the kids. Maybe like what's next? So not just thinking about this one thing in terms of transactional terms for this one big mega purchase probably or sale, but what are the things that happen either side of that for you and your clients, and how can you leverage that to help grow your business and scale other opportunities? Because what's interesting is with the people who I meet who are at million level turnover, they tend to not have just one business. They tend to have multiple revenue streams. And those revenue streams often come from, sometimes some of them have 3 businesses, or 4 businesses or 5 businesses, but it's the affiliate companies that they have, the kind of sister companies, so that they encapsulate all of the things that their customers want and need without them having to go somewhere else. So they become a one-stop shop or a one-stop referral home, let's call it. And so for you, just think about that for your audience and your clients. What could you, or how could you capture them in different stages of their life cycle?
That was great. Why don't we talk about like some of the real tactical things, because everyone loves like, you know, some of the real tactical things that she had mentioned. For me, like a couple of the tactical things were like adding images to emails. Like that for me was like, I feel like in my, or in that what I've been fed or what I see a lot is just text-based emails. Like don't put too many images in. It's going to hurt your like hurt your open rate, like for those that are sending newsletters and things. And she had showed us all of these different testings. Like she was, you know, shorter emails are working rather than longer emails. Whereas before, you know, if I look back at some of my newsletters, they would be so long. And she's really condensed things. And then maybe instead of sending, because I know a lot of like realtors, I don't think we're all sending emails at the same pace as a lot of entrepreneurial businesses, but maybe taking your long newsletter and instead of sending an email once a month, like to like your whole database, breaking it up into once a week at least, and breaking it up into smaller emails. For those of you that do email marketing, could you weigh in on some of that? Anybody want to take that one?
I do. Jen, go ahead.
Yeah.
Oh, sure. I was just going to say, yeah, I think looking at your list, I think that was a really good conversation that we had there about, yeah, segmenting, not necessarily sending the same message to everyone, and using the images. That was really eye-opener because, you know, we used to get newsletters with packed of images, and then we've gone the other way to just plain text, which is what I've been doing. But putting in the images again and trying the short versus the long. And I think a lot of it was about testing it, trying it out to see what people like. What are they opening? Do they want to click on a link or do they want to click on a button? I think my biggest takeaway in that sort of session was about culling my list, which is something that, you know, you just think I've worked so hard to get all these people on my list, and the realization that you have dead weight and they're bringing down your stats, they're bringing down your send rates, your open rates. And so having that sort of tough love from the speakers that day really helped. And I will be looking at that towards the end of the year of getting rid of that dead weight, because, you know, I'm paying to send emails to them. You know, they're not interested anymore, which is fine. You know, that's not a big deal at all, but I need to get rid of them. So that was a big sort of aha moment, something that I need to actually tackle and do.
The idea of sending even the email just saying like we're breaking up, or like I thought, or there was like those different subject lines. They said like it's over, like
Yeah.
something like that, just to say, okay, are they still going to be engaged,
Are
or
they still alive?
yeah,
You know, are you still there? Have you
yeah,
died? You
yeah,
know, what's going on?
one last
So
hope.
one last one. Yeah. So I'll be doing that in December, definitely.
Yeah, that's true. True, Deirdre. What about you, Dar? Did you have something to add on to that one?
No, I want to share like very similar. I know really like how Deirdre said die on or unsubscribe.
Yeah,
It's
yeah.
hilarious. But it was also kind of like partly used as a funnel to make sure that's like the audience that it's there, we can optimize it and like we can reignite that connection again and rebuild this point of connection that we have with them. And if it's like they're not engaging with your 4 emails as or used as part of the funnel, like it's time for them to die out of your email subscriber list. As Jen mentioned, you do pay money for you to send every single email, and it's getting expensive every single year. Like I just got an email from my convert kit, which is now just called kit, that I need to pay more. I'm like, oh my god, these bills are keep coming up. So, you know, it is expensive for you to send every single one of the emails. So when you do pay, you want to make sure that it's worth it. And sometimes it's okay to have a smaller list, but I would rather you have like a smaller list, but it's more engaged rather than having tens of thousands email subscribers and only like 5 of them open your emails, right?
100%. Yeah, it's better to keep it to I didn't even ever think about taking people off my list actually until they spoke about it. But yes, yeah, getting over the vanity metrics was very eye-opening to that too, because it's nice to see, you like to see the views, and I don't know, there is like that dopamine hit, I guess, that you get from those things, but at the end of the day, they're not paying your bills, right? That at the end of the day, it's not really that important. What about content? I really had so much fun when we did the content, and it's so much better to do it with someone. That's what I really got out of that. And that hook, she gave us that mix and match hook playbook, which I thought was so great. So what that was she gave us some like hooks that you could try, and like you kind of fill in the blanks, and then you match that with a visual hook. And they had given a whole bunch of different ideas. Visual hook could be as simple as like, you know, taking your glasses off, or things like that. What did you what were any takeaways that you guys had from that experience?
I can
Or
go.
anyone? Kaylee?
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, so I really love that exercise because, as like a solo business owner, I don't get to see, working from home, I don't get to have any um, moments where I'm like collaborating with a team member, right? And so exactly what you said about actually getting an opportunity to work with somebody and brainstorm ideas, and it was just so much fun for me because I met somebody, and he was just talking about like what he wanted to do, and it just like got me rolling. I was like, well, we could do this and we could do that, and what about this and what about that? And he's like, I didn't even think about that. And like I feel like that is something that I really really missed, and it's something that I'm going to be doing and implementing myself, except that I'm just going to ask my friends to are like really supportive of me and my business, to actually like be kind of my, the friends who are kind of into that kind of stuff, like my best girlies, like they're the ones that I'm going to ask, every once in a while, maybe once a month or something, to be like, hey, can you help me come and like film like a bunch of like content for an hour or something? And I think that's going to be what I do going forward, and like what I would definitely recommend going forward as well for other business owners, is because, you have your community of people who support you. And so why not bring them in and actually have them like hold the camera and like come up with ideas, because it's a lot more fun that way.
It's so much more fun. And I do that, like, even I know Alex is on here. Like Alex and I have done a couple of like little content days, and like Ashley too. And then even just in like the We Rise group, we did like a content day. We brought in like a professional photographer to that one, and like everyone got to shoot each other. But it just like gets your creative juices flowing, I think, to be able to work with somebody, especially because we all are, a lot of us working from home alone a lot of the time. And like, I love Deirdre's, Deirdre and I even shot, like we had fun and we were like, oh, I'm so glad it's somebody who understands. Cause you're like, could you film me doing this? Could you, instead of like your husband being like, oh gosh, not again. Right? Or a boyfriend or whatever. So, well, not that I have both, but you know what I'm trying to say, like for your own situation. Anyways, Deirdre or Daria, do you guys, or Jen, do you guys want to jump in on the content? Were there any like takeaways for you there?
Yeah, there were two major ones for me. One was I have a podcast, and it's called the Master Your Business Podcast, and we create an audio first podcast. That was always the intention. I never planned to be on YouTube, but what we do is we upload the video because we record it on YouTube, or we record it on Zoom. So we upload it to YouTube so we can get clips from it. But after being at Backstage, my plan for 2026 is a YouTube first strategy, because YouTube is not a social media platform, it's a search engine, right? So, I mean, I knew this. I've had people on my podcast about YouTube. So it wasn't that I heard anything new at Backstage, but actually it was the kick in the pants that I needed for me to take some action and implement this going forward. So that was definitely one of my takeaways. And for you folks in Shaleni's community, like, take action on the things that she's sharing with you, because those are the things that are going to generate results for you. I think the second biggest takeaway, and I've already implemented this one because this was easier to do right now, is what Alex calls a signature series.
Oh, yeah.
So essentially what she does is she's got a couple of templated carousel type posts or reel type videos that she does where they help build her authority and trustworthiness, but they're also lead magnets, is what she promotes at the end of them. And the idea is to get people on her email list. And so those are really repeatable, easy bits of content that you can create that help build your trust, build trust with you in your domain, whatever, wherever you are, whatever you're doing. So straight away, I've already applied that one. It didn't work so well for me the first time around, but that's okay. I'm going to iterate and test again. And that's when you're marketing, folks, like, it's one giant big experiment. Expect more flops than successes, because that's literally how it works, right? So just be mindful of that. And the last thing I will say on this, and it kind of goes back to your thing on email as well, Shaleni, is to do with paid ads and social media content and marketing on social media, is that the conversion rates, and Alex showed this in terms of the lifetime value of leads from social media versus on email, I think it was like 6 times higher. So when you get people on your email list, they're much more likely to want to buy from you. And for me, I've been a story brand coach as well for 4 years. And one of the things that we do is we look at generating email, like building your email list and sending emails regularly. Now we would call them a nurture sequence, but what Alex does is she takes it like a whole other level, which is just epic. But I totally forgot my train of thought that I was going to share something with you there that was totally going to be epic there, and I've gone off on a tangent. So yeah, just scrap that. But the moral of the story is it's worthwhile using social media to get people on your email list. And don't underestimate the value of your email list and how the two work in tandem. That's it. I'll not waffle on beyond that.
No, it's important. I think it's something that even I would say like a lot of realtors maybe don't think about as much, as like really, capturing those emails and like having a list. It's a very valuable way to stay in touch with people on a one-to-many basis, right? And just because not everybody sees your social media. So it just reinforced for me again while we were there how important it is to have other ways to stay in touch with people. Yeah. What about you, Daria, for the content? Because you this is what you do, right? For other people, what could you?
I do. I think it was just such a beautiful reminder how we often get to overthink about the type of content that we want to create, and then now we have this like full massive production, like 300 years of development in one single piece of content, and then when we do post it, it doesn't perform as well, because in our brain we're like, but we spend so much time and so much energy generating like this one single beautiful thing. And coming to our very first point, where our audience does crave trust and connection and real relationship with a real human, we need to optimize for content that it's much easier for you to create at a rate that's much easier for you to operate. Like, for example, if it's the only consistent thing that you can do is posting one reel a week, awesome, just like post one, but do it consistently over like 6 months, and it will be much, much better than you posting 30 reels in one day and then not posting anything for 1 year because you're creatively burnt out, which like 100% makes sense. But giving yourself time, like you say, you only have 30 minutes to film 2 videos. That's it. You only have 30 minutes. By the time the 30 minutes are done, you go and then you create, you do your work, you do something else. But having this kind of like creative parameters where you do not spend majority of your time creating this like one big thing that is might not perform as well as you would have hoped, or it might perform as well as you would have hoped, because you never know until you try. But giving yourself kind of like the step signals of time to also make sure that you protect your time, you protect your resources, because it's very easy to spend 3 hours editing one single story that's gonna expire in 24 hours, but the return on that story might not be as great if you would spend 3 hours talking to your client or doing something else, lead generation, client generating wise, right? But you still need to show up online. So what would be the most sustainable way that you can do that? And I think it was just like another beautiful reminder at the backstage that you don't need 5 hours to create content. If you have 40 minutes, awesome, you're good to go.
Think the overthinking part, like which I've been guilty of as well, right? Like sometimes I think the thing for me was like, okay, it's okay to suck, but it's not okay to skip. Right? Like you can, like, it's, you know what, if you put it out there and it flops, like it's okay, just keep doing it. Like, right? And just be yourself while you're doing it. And so that was the mantra that I kind of walked away with, like the permission to just, you know, be you and like just try different things. Like at the end of the day, I also walked away with that, like marketing and social and all of these things. It's like, I don't know, like anybody 100% has it figured out. It changes so quickly. Just be yourself and put things out there for you that you like, and that, you know, your people will like, so you can sustain it, if that's the avenue you choose to do. I mean, it's free, so it's so good for us to be able to, you know, use it out on our platforms. Yeah, scrappy and raw. I love scrappy. I've been saying scrappy all this time since I came back from backstage. I wonder if anybody else has any questions. Like if you want to jump in with any questions, we've got about 50 minutes left. If you had any questions for any of the guests, for Daria, Deirdre, Jen, like you have a wealth, Haley, you have a wealth of people with information over here from systems, and neuropsych, story brand, and copy. So if you had any questions, like feel free to jump in and put them in the chat, and I'll read them out. In the meantime, do you want to share, like, I think Daria shared her biggest takeaway. Did you guys get to share your biggest takeaway, like from the event? Jen, do you want to go ahead?
Yeah. My biggest takeaway started on the Friday morning right away. And Alex said, protect your confidence. And it really, really hit home for me. I really had, I think, almost an out of body experience when she said that. And I went, oh my God, she gets me. She gets it. When we're working for ourselves, by ourselves, we are our biggest critic. And life happens, you know. I've got a crazy 9-year-old daughter. I've got aging parents and one with dementia. And, you know, life happens. And when you're dealing with life, it's hard to sort of switch that off and get into, you know, going on social and doing a video. And I'm so great, you know, like having these thoughts in your mind. And I think that is something that I've been struggling with the last year or so, is feeling like I can show up and show myself, but I've got all this crap going on behind the scenes, right? So it was really hit home, and I'm looking at other ways that I can protect that confidence. And especially if you work online, like I work online, and people can feel your energy, even if you're not in front of them, and your confidence is what gets you through it. And next week, I am hosting my annual online summit, which is my biggest week of my entire year. And last year, I had my mother get into a major car accident and smash up the car and end up in hospital. And my father got an infection that we didn't understand, and he went into hospital. So it was like the worst week of my life. And this year, I'm protecting my confidence. And I've told them all, I don't care if you are bleeding. I don't care if there's bones sticking out. I don't care if the house is on fire. Do not disturb me. Which I'm sure isn't quite what Alex meant, but that's how I'm taking it next week. Is I've got, 2,000 people coming to this online summit, and I am not going to be disturbed.
No, they are your takeaways. But it's true. It is very difficult managing everything. And I think just being vulnerable, like, thank you so much for sharing. It just helps people to feel like you're not the only one. Because like working alone, you can feel like that a lot of the time, right? And you just don't know what people are going through. What about you, Haley? Do you want to share?
I am sorry. I kind of like missed a little bit just because my internet just was like, see ya
Oh
for a
no.
hot second. So
Just
do
share
apologize.
your biggest takeaway. To share your biggest takeaway from Copy
Yes.
Posse.
Okay. Okay. Perfect. Sounds good. That's easy.
Mm.
Yeah. I think, my biggest takeaway, honestly, was this exercise we did where we literally just like mapped, well, you can't see it, sorry, it's all blurry, but
Yeah.
we mapped out our business on like on like the back of a napkin, which was
Oh,
just a piece
yeah.
of paper. Do you remember that exercise?
Yeah, it was
It
really
was
good.
so good, especially after, we had just mapped that path of transformation like Daria was talking about earlier, whereas you think you start with your one ideal client and you map out who they are before and afterwards. And
Mhm.
I loved what Alex said about taking that path of transformation and then mapping it to your actual offers as well, and the different ways that people can enter your, universe, and depending on who they are. And I just found that so insightful because, I have all these different offers, but I never really put it together that it's like, oh, actually, my low ticket offer, which is this like mini course where, I walk people through how to map their customer journey and find the gaps and opportunities for automation. I didn't really realize that that was for my ideal customer, but like two steps before they're like ready to work with me for my big major offer that I have. So, that was really transformational for me because now I can really see how I have actually created my own little brand universe and my own system for bringing people into my community and working with me for the long term. So that would be something I would recommend doing, is thinking about how the people that you work with, how they can be part of your universe for a long period of time, and how those offers, you're meeting them at all these different stages. And if you look at the Copy Posse, it's the same thing where, she's got her launch pad all the way to Rain, which I know some people are members as well. So anyways, I'll get off my pedestal now, but yeah, that
No,
would be
no.
my one
Thank you
hot
for sharing.
thing.
It was really good. It was, I think, for us, like for those in like real estate or for any business, it's about thinking about that, even that like lead magnet offer. Like, what is that initial offer that you could give somebody that is of value? And I think for years and years for us, was like, here, take our buyer's guide, and that just really had me rethink that. Like, okay, everyone's got one of those buyer guides. What is another angle that you can can, you can do something similar, so I don't have to retweak the whole thing, but like name it something different, or have like some sort of different offering, like to have to people to, bring them in, to have their email, to keep them on a list, to keep in contact with them. So that back of a napkin exercise was really great. What about you, Deirdre?
There were so many takeaways. Like honestly, I have a whole notebook full, and I haven't done a full deep dive with my clients. With some I have, but not with everyone yet. There's a couple of things that jumped out at me most, which was something that I remind my clients all of the time, is that marketing is actually a lesson in memorability. And Alex phrased it really nicely. I wrote it down, put an asterisk beside it, and I have my little copy posse thing here. And it literally was, redundancy in marketing is necessary, which is exactly what I say to people, but she said it in a different way. And I think sometimes we put so much pressure on ourselves to promote things in our businesses and to generate leads, traffic, and sales, that we try to reinvent the wheel all the time. But actually, you don't need to reinvent the wheel. And one of the things that Alex suggested was go and look at Alex Hormozy. And if you don't know who Alex Hormozy is, go and check him out. He's like literally internet famous in the last few years. He had one of the biggest book launch ever in the world this year. So he's like seriously intelligent and smart, but he uses hooks all of the time to capture people's attention. And one of the things Alex said as well is not only is trust at an all-time low, but so is attention. And it's because of all of the crappy AI stuff that's out there. So if you can capture attention, do it. And if that means stealing Alex Hormozy's hooks or somebody else's hooks where you know that they've worked, do it. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. You just need to talk about the same thing that you always talk about, but find a different way to hook people so that they stop and pay attention to your content, because attention is a currency.
Mm-hmm. I love that. And nothing is new anyways, right? Everything I feel like is. Daria, do you want to say, or you're clapping?
No, I'm just clapping because I agree with every single thing that Deirdre said.
Yeah. I was like, is that a hand up or is she clapping? That's good. Yeah, I 100% agree. I think like even you can take inspiration from so many different people and then just just make it yours, right? Like that's all I feel like any of this matrix is like, is just sort of like doing the same thing or in your way and as you. Does anybody have any final messages you want to give before we wrap this up? I just think, I mean, it was great. Like if, again, like check out, I'll make sure I'll send out a follow-up email with everybody's contact information. So you can follow these ladies or reach out to them if you have questions about your business. They're all experts in what they do. And I feel so lucky to have been able to met all of you. And like, thank you so much for contributing here today. I really appreciate it. And yeah, I think it's good. I think the message for even everyone on here is to look outside your industry as well for inspiration. Like I mean, I feel if you look at other people within your industry all the time, you can get sucked into that comparitis, like that Deirdre had mentioned. That's my new favorite word. But look outside your industry, like meet other people outside your industry. Like I just joined even like a Toastmasters group. I think the Serene's on here, and it's just been so fabulous. Just like get outside of what you would normally do and expand your world, expand your mind, expand your business. So thank you so much to all of you for being here today. I will send out a follow-up with the recording, and I hope you all have a great rest of your day. Happy Halloween.
Thank you so much for having us. Appreciate it.
Thank
Thanks,
you.
Shaleni. Well done for pulling it together.
Yay! Thank you so much.